Not sure why that happened, but here we go again. Nightly strategy podcast for July 12th, 2022. So we'll start with the market health check. So the that failure to follow through continued today. So we had a slightly larger range today. We are still holding right at the edge of the dragon, but the dragon has rolled over. The short term momentum is down. We are beginning to approach the PSAR, which will be at about the 5-day low tomorrow, around 373. Uh, the river is starting to slope down a little more. So we're coming to a decision point here pretty darn soon about what to do in this region. What's it going to do? Recover? There's now actually a 1, 2, 3 to 1 moved back to the Bollinger Band mean, 2 to 1 down to the PSAR. So critical state continues, but today the vote was down. This is a weakening of the market. In the indexes, the S&P was off 0.8 today. Let's see. Yeah, so the S&P was the second worst at minus 0.88. Tech was off 0.97. Diamonds were a little better at 0.56. Emerging markets and small caps off a third. Treasuries up 0.6 to get back to 115. So this was a weakening. It's troublesome that even the large caps and the large cap techs were the weak ones today. So that's, you would normally think of those two as the stabilizers, but there was no love in there. These are the symbols that underperformed the S&P. We'll start with the sectors. So there's the FANGs, 0.1, Brazil, tech, energy, oil exploration at 2.37. Food off 2.77, lithium, blended commodities, Bitcoin, oil off another 7%, and Ethereum 7.74. Individual targets. Microsoft was really troublesome today at minus 4%. Devon Energy off 2.6. Alcoa off 1.12. So plenty of pain and suffering all around there today. Symbols that did better than the market today. Blockchain, finance, consumer discretionary, real estate was off a half. Staples off 0.3. Precious metals 0.3. Materials 0.19. Global future of finance, Mexico. Here's the cut line to the upside. Clean energy and commercial real estate up about 0.3 and 0.4. There's the Aussie dollar. Wood up 0.6. Here's the other lumber, 0.91. So in the battle of the lumbers, I have noticed over the past year or so that cut has been better on the upside than the pair trade in wood. Different category of lumber companies. VXX 1.22, that bodes poorly for tomorrow. S&P Biotech 1.5, marijuana 1.6, the two ARCs 1.6 and 2.4, and individual companies, blended large cap crypto, Squarespace, PayPal up 1.3, Rivian, Robinhood, Apple, Coinbase up 3/4. Um, so, in my view, actually, not a lot to choose from. I would say Apple is very interesting. But this does not look promising for tomorrow. Let's look at the reports. Excuse me. All right, let's go to sniper trade of the day. So this is Boeing. I mean, I've been watching this thing for a month um, with its extremely large moves that were not connected to the market. Like it was going up big when the market was down big, and it was going down big when the market was up. So finally, just enough is enough, and got on board with the sniper trade. And it has a $1 R10. I think it was like 89 cents to be fully honest. I think, but I just rounded it to a buck. So this is where it closed. It opened with a gap and went after the opening range 3 minutes. Had a breakout to the upside. I go ahead and buy it above a rising PSAR, a rising dragon. I use a standard risk box. Um, Rolls over, is approaching the PSAR, so I just take that. That's about a 1, 2, maybe 3R on the first one. This is a COTA 2. You know, the RL10 holds above the edge of the dragon, so just re-enter standard risk box. That's about a scratch. It gives me another COTA 2. Here's the swing low. There's rising lows. Takes out the PSAR, so that's a re-entry. Standard risk. Standard exit when it comes and hits the PSAR. That's about 1, 2, 3. That's about +3. This is a standard COTA 2, which is about a scratch. So that's about +6 on Boeing and no overnight risk. Remains on the target list. This is such an orderly trader. I should have been on this much sooner. This also triggered a TC2000 alert, which was a breakout from a Z3 pinch, plus a gap up and go, while the rest of the market was suffering. Sniper trade of the day. All right, dashboard number 1. Bearish normal, weak short term, very weak long term, still marginally opportunistic with the risk on condition as long as it's above the zero line. Obviously, no channeling overreactions with everything below its 200-day moving average. Merck, Boeing, Verizon, McDonald's, Walmart, and the min pain. So Boeing is going to be especially good tomorrow, or on my radar screen because of its nice wins today. Continued weakness in Alcoa, Walgreens, Cat, ExxonMobil, and Nike. Metals and mining, blended commodities, oil, exploration, and oil. Everything still weakening sharply in energy. In the Dow, still a lot of dojis today. Just a small handful of auto framers, but Alcoa at 4.3, Chevron at 5 to 1 are very interesting. And here's a 5DD in Travelers. So there's a handful there to prepare. In the ETF tactical, half a dozen dojis, lots of auto framers. Here's the internationals. Emerging markets, Euro-Asia blend, Asia less Japan and Japan. So some good reward to risk ratios on the weakening globals. Brazil at 3.7 to 1. Gold now at 9 to 1. At some point, that's going to be a good trade. Oil, 4 to 1. Silver, 6 to 1. Energy, 4.5 to 1. Oil exploration, 4.6 to 1. So how the mighty have fallen. It used to be great on that 6-month and 12-month comparative level, but now over the last 1 month, 10 days, and 1 day, it's just been getting slaughtered. And then new breakdowns in silver and gold. Real weakness there. So that tells me WPM, wheat and precious metals, may be a good tactical play to investigate. Auto framers, standard work. Just a handful of squeezes. My attention is drawn to obviously energy, oil exploration, Alcoa, United Health, and Merck. So those are all tightly compressed, and you get a really favorable reward to risk ratio if it will just make a range stat move. Into the sniper setups, lots of Godzillas in the S&P 500. NOW is the only one that is a raging Godzilla at 2.16 on the 5-day volatility, 2.57 on the 1-day volatility. So it made a large 1-day move as part of a very large 5-day move. So that one should command our attention. All of the other ones are stealthy Godzillas in the making, so harshly oversold, but now dangerously compressing. You know, it's like sleeping Godzillas are like sleeping dogs. You really want to be careful when they wake up and start to rage. In our tactical symbol set, the agriculture companies are the only raging Godzilla right now. 1.33 on the 5-day, 1.7 on the 1-day, but you can see how drastically oversold that one is. There's Alcoa, emerging markets, wheat and precious metals. That's part of that gold and silver. I would expect to see that to start to really get smashed even further. Cliff, Materials, Mexico. That's a really stealthy Godzilla on it. That means it has sold off sharply, and then the 5-day, it almost has like a 5-day doji, and they're really tightly compressed. So that makes you wonder, when it wakes up, is it going to be enraged, or is it and recover, or collapse? Usually collapse. So Godzillas are in the quiet mode right now, and we need to be ready for the breakouts. Only one fireworks, and that is in General Mills. Uh, Wildly overbought, but a very quiet 5 day and 1 day volatility. So this is again arcing up where and it has exploded, but now is very quiet with a tightly compressed range. Is it going to continue or fail further? We don't know. Stay tuned. Oohs and ahs are certain to follow. A lot more fence sitters starting to show up, and these are the ones that are in that sideways kind of chop in the middle of their range on the long term and midterm, and they're all relatively quiet. Every one of them. That means that feels like this. So it's in the center of its range, coming into a Z3P. It's a long move to both resistance and to support, so that makes this a critical state. The most quiets and the most volatiles on the basis of the 5 day volatility for you to investigate. I really like Win right here. We're going to see why in a minute. Notice that Win is in about the 6th or 7th position, and its 5 day volatility is really quiet. So the whole market itself has really gone into a quiet mode. Look at how quiet all these are. Much more than one standard deviation below average. So this is getting tricky. Remember, what we have in the broad market was a harsh sell-off, a recovery, and now is selling off, and it hasn't wildly collapsed, but it also hasn't resumed. And that means that the longer it stays in that little position, like a coiled spring under tension, the greater the move on the breakout will be. So we've got to be prepared for that. All it takes is some trigger moves in the news to start that wildfire. Here's our auto framer data for our tactical symbol set. This one is sorted by percent change. It gives you all the key information that you need for framing trades. I especially use the R10 column to give me my start point for computing the intraday minimum manageable risk box. Like in Apple, it's 50 cents. Microsoft, 91 cents. Call it $1, etc. And here's our tactical symbol set, sorted by 5 day volatility, because that is the most important number for me for short-term trading emotions. I want to know the emotional state of those symbols. We have a real equal mix now in the four seasons, developing all the way across the board. The ones in the summer are especially important for the upside. There's Boeing ready to go, and Apple was strong today. That could go. And of note, Microsoft, which had been outperforming Apple, really has started to underperform, and today really sold off harshly. We're going to see that in the sniper trades of the day. That was an important one. All right, we'll shift over to sniper trades now. Here's finance, the sector. So a morning hook with a 1, 2, 3. These are all on 3 minutes. So here was the close. Big gap down, then a low, a higher low, a third higher low, with a breakout through the dragon and the PSAR flip. Low risk idea, standard risk box, and off we go. I feel like I gave back too much on that, but I've not been active in finance that much. So really, this is a 1, 2. Here's where the 1, 2, 3 exit would have been better. I wanted to give it a chance, and that giving it a chance allows me to lock in this much, but gave back that much, and I gave back 2/3 of the move. Still got paid, but that was a little sloppy. Missed the Kata 2 re-entry. This one is your Kata 2 would be like right in here. Probably would have lost a little bit, but that's what the Kata 2 entry would be. Now, this is where it takes out the PSAR. That's like a breaking through the PSAR. This is another place we could get long. Probably a better place because it's eclipsing the RL10. So that's a kind of a low risk move, and the standard risk box would have been something like that. Didn't take it, I don't think. Or at least not right at the first earliest opportunity. I did take it about 15 minutes later when it had failed. It failed to fail further. No, instead it held here. It didn't do that. So you're getting this rising dragon, and finally the breakout by your standard risk. I wouldn't be offended if you decided to execute off of here or even off of there, but by this time you got to get your stop up to here in order to lock in no lose plus dinner for 2. Now it's a science project. Come on. Standard exit at the PSAR. Starting to fail. Really slow on getting that one in. This was just lack of familiarity with XLF. So this is a collapsing dragon. This is a collapsing dragon with a PSAR flip. So both of those are better entries than this one, but this is still okay. I mean, you can what your target reference point here is this. You think it can get back to here, so that's still a legit target on this much risk. That gives you about 1, 2. So that's legit target. And if that fails, you think it can come down to here. And if that fails, it's going to be a big fail. So even though this is not optimum, it's still okay. Still tradable. Yeah, I guess. And here's that target reference point. Gets down to about that region. It was getting close to the end of the day, so I took it, and then it gave one more little leg down. But that's about 2R on that one, half an R, quarter of an R, so maybe plus 2.5 on that one today. Finance showed significant weakness today. This is UAL. So this one was a TC2000 alert. It gave me, it said, hey, there's a Z3P breakout, span of control. I couldn't take it. This one is starting to consolidate. Here's the RL10 rolling over. So I'd like to see it consolidate in that range and then continue up. If it falls out of this range, I can think about making that trade back to here. So that's, in my mind, that's the That's the critical state. What's it going to do inside there? It holds. TC2000 gives me another alert. Says, hey, COTA 2 is forming. So I take it that's the standard risk box, standard exit at the PSAR, standard COTA 2 reentry with standard risk box, scratch, COTA 2 reentry, micro gain, and then not much. So this in the airlines, that's about maybe two, a half, and a half, so maybe plus 3 overall. United Airlines, UAL. So that's not a bad move on a day when the market was weak. So that's we'll play that as a continuation to tomorrow. Here's Win. This is the casino company. So there's the morning move. This is such a frog champion. So here's where it closed. So nice gap and then just continues. PSAR flip occurs. Has a standard risk box off the bottom. So I just buy it and let's go. I take a 1, 2, 3 exit to get paid. There's a 1, 2, 3. So I'm able to save that extra piece instead of waiting for the PSAR. Paid for the other one where I was sloppy. COTA 2 re-entry. So again, this is like my favorite upside pattern. Is you get a nice move early, get paid. It doesn't fail all the way back, but just holds here. The PSAR is never violated by the RL10, and this thing just keeps rolling up. I love that K2. Standard exit for about half an hour. COTA 2, second position, or second COTA 2, not second position. But so you have a higher low. That's what makes this a COTA 2 success with the higher low, and it continues. More success. Notice that leg 1 is about the same size as leg 2. So it pulls back, finds support, breaks out, hits the PSAR, so off we go. Standard risk box. This could be leg 3. It is not. Half an hour loss. And done. So this one is about +1. Come on, dummy. Draw the line straight. You know, 0.5. This is +1. That's a minus 0.5, so this is about +1. I was hoping for more out of that one. I feel like because I like it, I think I gave back too much there. I like it as a person. I think we already did. Yeah, I already did finance. Sorry. CME Group. This is financial services. This has been a very orderly intraday mover. I should do more with. Uh, the opening continues to the upside, breaks out above the PSAR flip, risk box off the low, standard entry. Exit at the southern skin of the dragon for about 1. Um, I thought this was going up, so I did not participate in the downside move. But then when the upward moved, couldn't even get out of the dragon and then rolled over and left the dragon. That's the short, standard risk. Standard exit at the PSAR cross. The short continues. This is like a COTA 2 continuation. Here's your critical state. Was it going to come up and test the dragon and the RL10? No. So now there's no resistance or support down here at all. So this could be a very fast free fall. So the quick re-entry was justified. Wasn't really a free fall, but it was a nice, what turned out to be a really nice slide. So here's the entry. So 1 unit of risk, 1, 2. So that's about +2. This is about +1. That's about +1. Total about +4. CME group, that will be on the radar for tomorrow again. Very orderly intraday trader. Peak, this is our healthcare real estate guy. Still trading it. Standard risk. There's your PSAR breakout box. Here's your OR3. Opening range 3 minutes. The second bar opens, breaks out above that. Standard long. Standard risk. Crushes it. 1, 2, 3 exit. COTA 2 re-entry. Wait for it to clear. Standard risk. I'll use this as my execution stop, so I'm really only risking that much of the risk box. Check or hold. Scratch. Short on the PSAR flip the second time. Standard risk. Looks almost like a symmetrical fail. This thing was up that much, and then the size of this downward move was that much, and it brings it right back into its probably fair value. So pure tactical trading there. The fact that it couldn't follow through much more than that is telling to me. So that's peak. And here's Microsoft. So this has been underperforming lately. PSAR flip to the downside. I take the second breakdown just because I wanted to get out of the morning chop. So collapsing dragon short, standard risk box to the top, and just got smashed. Standard exit at the PSAR cross. Check or hold. That's a lot of people getting out of Microsoft. 1, 2, 3. Underperformed Apple, underperformed tech, underperformed the market. Was one of the percent losers today. Should have been short right there. Just it was so quiet it lulled me to sleep. I kept waiting for this, to be some kind of Z3P and break out and get back to parity and then beyond, but it never did. But then that failure to follow through, I should have detected this as the failure play, but there's more pain and suffering in that one tomorrow. Um, so we'll see how that goes. That should be on your short list. There's a lot more action in that. This was a bunch of guys just buying inventory, waiting to see some breakout movements, and never got it. And then that's them reluctantly unloading their position because they don't want it overnight risk. So if that thing gaps down tomorrow and starts to roll back up, man, I'm going to be long that in a heartbeat. And I'm thinking, as a target somewhere like right there. That's the scenario I'd like to see tomorrow. Sharp sell off, quick morning hook, and then getting back to parity. And then if that breaks through, looking for it to get all the way back up to here on the second leg. On the other hand, if this thing fails and doesn't stabilize, I'll be ready to continue to ride it down. So Microsoft will be in play tomorrow. Just a handful of trades today. Wojcik with Tesla. That's a legit effort on the upside breakout. This could be a stop and reverse. That's a pretty good short. Good cover. I'd like to see you get back in right about here. When that rolls over, you can be short here. That's still pretty good. Hard to do much better than that. That's a good shot at the long side. You didn't let it go negative. Quick try. I think you can. This is where I think you got to be short. And then this one pays off. That's a good SSC. Got paid. The re-entry could be here. Then that's a good payoff. And that's so with a little bit of there might have been 1.5 in this with best play. Luke escapes with his life today. I think this is where we're starting the trade. I like the breakout from this Z3 pinch. Got paid. Good short. Good re-entry. Scratch. And now we just got chewed up in here. After 2, take a break. Yeah, that's just a bad day at Flat Rock. I like the recovery in here. And then having escaped with his life, he said, nah, I don't want that. Oh. We'll get him tomorrow. Pawn. All right, let's zoom in this a little bit. Beautiful collapsing dragon right there. Standard risk. Got paid. Waits for the break of the PSAR. Standard risk. Really not much follow through. Good scratch. Let it stabilize. This would have been tempting in here on a Z3 pinch and now starting to break down after the morning failure. So that's a possibility. Oh, you were not on screen. Okay. but that's the one where you are looking for a target down. Okay, he's back in. I like this because the PSARs are lowering and this rolls over. That's a good shot. That's a great exit. Yeah, this is the logical reentry on a Kata 2, which would have paid. Now, when you see if you're in that, and if you take that entry and you see those two, we call those dragon horns, and that's the sign of a Z3 excursion with no follow through, and so you'd want to get out here and get paid on that one. Great short. You managed to salvage some. Two good shots, three good shots. So we got out of that all right, and we're doing okay for this week. Keep marching. I might suggest looking at the threes. You'll get a little more data. And I would lighten up the colors on this just a little more so you can see the dragon a little more clearly. Great work by Paul. Here's the Z3 collapse. We might have gotten in a little sooner. He was waiting for the first three bars on, so he's waiting for 10 minutes in essentially. And now we're really clear of all this chop, so that's a great short. Great exit, good re-entry, way to get out of it. I think this could have been another short, yeah, but he was off desk, but otherwise you get that. Good day at work. It's not even a full day, a good hour at work. Now the second piece, on a weekday today, like in Tesla, so this is a good shot, this is a good exit. On this one, I like this, I really do, because you're breaking through the PSAR and the lower part of the dragon. It's given the head fake, it's gotten all the way through a fat dragon, and then this would pay off. Now, if you had taken this short here, and you get that much, take that, so that even this one is getting paid. And then when this peaks and then rolls over, you can then take that as a re-entry here instead of waiting for that. And now you get this extra piece twice. Good exit. I'd have probably taken this and would have taken that same exit. This is nice. Great re-entry. 1, 2, 3 exit would be here, so maybe one bar too late. I like the short here better than here. And I would like, after this gain, I'd like to scratch here. That's a good long, and so is that, and then that's a good quick exit. So I think these two trades in here are places for some improvement. Gave back a lot. Quick scratch. So now we're starting to just make sawdust over trading. Wait for take a break after 2, then wait for the PSAR flip. And now we're just, look, trust the PSAR. This trade really should be from here to here, one trade with that much risk. Look at all the blue boxes we're given back. Trust the PSAR. Yeah, this is always a good trade to the upside, and that's always a great exit. And now notice again where he gets the short here instead of waiting for it to break down here. Now he gets a great exit. And again, the re-entry can be here instead of waiting for the new low. And now you really get a nice trade. This is probably caught a 2 land here. Trust the PSAR. All right, good work, fellas. We'll get this published and posted. Tim sent me a nice note on his owl meditation. Very, very helpful. You guys need to download a copy of that and do that once a week. It will be very good for you. All right, that's everything I got today. We'll get this published and posted. I had a good hour-long interview with the folks at Miracy who are interested in our strategies for home study courses and how we design training. So there may be some business there. They were very interested in the creativity and the true storytelling. There's some power in that. As the guys in the Creativity 202 course can attest, they're really starting to hit their stride. All right, folks, that's all we got for today. We will catch you tomorrow.